Hi everyone, thanks for stopping by. I'm really glad you made it. I'm really glad you're here, and we're going to do some watercolors. We're going to have fun with very exciting and high intensity colors. So let's go with the idea here that we're going to try to make a really impactful painting with using some really intense colors. We're going to make that the star of the show. A lot of times with artwork, especially with painting, like for, let's say, watercolors in particular, you can take a certain idea. It could just be one idea. In this one, we're going to use high intensity colors as your theme for your painting. So let's see how it goes. We're going to do a small comp, a small painting. This is a type of painting. It's maybe like a 6 by 6 inch format. You could take this and then frame it afterwards with a nice large white border and put it in a frame, and it would look fantastic for a gift or for your home. The key with this painting is I'm going to just do a quick. So the key with this painting is, and a lot of my work you'll notice, I do use a lot of the straight from the tube paint. So to get the kind of high intensity colors we're looking for in this painting, we're not going to want to work with dry paint like this. So if we're working with dry paint like this and trying to scrub at it, and we're not going to really see how we can't get like rich intensity colors, high intensity colors with this. See, that's very diluted and non-high intensity color here. So the way we get high intensity colors is very simple. We just make sure our palette has fresh squeezed paint in there, and as you can see how that's fresh squeezed like that, that's what we have to work with. And that's how I work with my paints at all times. Whenever I'm painting, I always use this. I always keep my palette with fresh moist paint, and the way I do that is I just put it in a plastic bag when I'm done with a little moist paper towel, and I put it in the refrigerator in the summertime, and in the wintertime I put it by a drafty window, and it usually stays fine. The paints stay nice and moist just like that, so no hassles. You don't have to worry about filling up your palette all the time with paint. You only fill your palette really up with paint when you need paint, when you're actually running low on a color. Other than that, it works fine, that technique. So that took me many years to figure out, and but it works great. So again, here, see that paint, how it's like, that's what we're looking for. And that's how we're going to get the high intensity colors in this painting. Now, of course, we might use some of the diluted color a little bit here and there. But to get that high intensity color like this, we have to have that moist paint. Okay, enough said. We understand that now. Now we're ready to go in, and we're going to just do a quick drawing. Here's the fun part. You don't have to draw on this painting. If you care not to draw and do pencil drawings with your watercolors, that's fine too. You're the artist. You make your own decisions on how you're going to create your art. You can just use my tutorials as a way to, learn new ideas and see if they work with the way what your style is. So here what I'm going to do is just make a real simple, I'm going to make this a vase. Very light contour drawing. Then I'm going to go up just about a third of the way on the vase and make the back of the table, just so we have a little bit of, it's always nice to put a little bit of a reference design in your painting to give things more information. So a back of the table here is going to give us some really good information, knowing that our vase is not just floating in the middle of thin air, it's actually sitting on a table. So this line back here just gives us the information to let us know this vase is on the table. And then let's just I'm going to just do some free, you can just use any kind of reference material to get some flower shapes. I'm not going with too much, I'm just going to do a couple, I'll do a couple leaf forms here. A couple leaves there, maybe one here too. Here I made the leaves 3 different shapes and sizes. Nice variety. We wouldn't want to we'd want to try to keep our shapes kind of different. So if we're going to make 3 leaves or 4 leaves here on this vase with our flowers, we want to try to just, does that make sense? To sort of make things look interesting and different, and we wouldn't want to just make all 3 of the same size. So we want to always change the sizes of our shapes if we can to make it more interesting, that's all. And we're going to do some flower shapes here. Maybe we'll do like a nice rose shape maybe. Okay, I'm just making some flowers, so this might be a small vase with some couple flowers in it and some green leafy shapes. And then maybe we'll do another rose type. Okay, and then maybe one more. We'll do one more flower shape up here. And I'm just doing you could use any reference material from a magazine or a picture or something online to get the flower shapes. So I'm just getting some basic flower shapes here. And that should be good. So here we're kind of like maybe 3 rose type shapes of flowers. And then maybe a twig of some branches, a little bit of fun twig type things, make things look a little different. That should be good. All right, perfect. Now we're going to make this vase. We're going to make this vase. Now, in essence, let me not. To make this even more simplified, if you didn't want to get as much sketching in and you just wanted to kind of maybe do more just a real easy reference, you could. That would be the paper, and I taped off the border of the paper. You could just basically make one shape like that with the back of the table, like so. And then, just 3 shapes for some leaves. Little points on the ends, and then okay, so we did 3. So you could just make 3 round shapes, maybe a little bit different in shape, maybe a little different in size, maybe one a little bigger, one medium size, one a little smaller, and then just a couple lines, just lightly, and that's it. And then we're going to draw some lines on our vase here, just to give it some interesting colors and so forth. So let's do that. Or you can just paint it straight with your brush and paint, and you don't have to really even sketch if you don't want. You can just do it like in a more freer fashion. Okay, so now I am going to do a little more drawing, just so I'm going to go with I do this sometimes. You can put a piece of paper on your drawing and sort of do your pencil lines on your paper, just so you might have like a scale for yourself, and then you say, all right, I want to make the lines on my vase somewhat interesting. Let me go with the maybe like there's the halfway point, so this might be quarters, 4/4 makes the 1/4, 1/4, 1/4, 1/4. This is more of an the American scale. Quarter inch, quarter inch, quarter inch equals 1 inch. So let's just say we're using a similar scale, quarter, quarter, quarter. You could do decimal points if you want. And then I'm going to say, okay, now this is the sort of the 4/4 here. So I'm going to go 3/4 and then a little bit in between the 3/4 and half, or in essence, you'll see I'm going not quite, a little bit under the halfway point, just to get in a reference point of something interesting. And then I'm just going to make all different size lines. Just as long as I change the sizes of the lines on this, I'm fine. I don't want to have all even lines. So in essence, for my vase, I don't want to go with just all even lines, let's say like this, although that looks great too. You could do that. You could do all even lines on your vase. That looks fantastic. I chose to go maybe with more of a different pattern here. I'm going with more of like a small and large stripe pattern, maybe like that. So you can do your stripe patterns any way you want on your vase. It's up to you. And again, high intensity colors. That's what we're gonna try to work on this composition. So let's get into it here. We're gonna do some roses here. Okay. Some cadmium red. Cadmium orange here a little bit. And again, you'll notice here, I'm going to really have a lot of fun with this and splash a little bit. Really, this theme is high intensity color. So let's just keep that's the main theme. So we're not going to be so critical about painting in the flowers, and let's just keep lots of high intensity color on this piece of artwork here, and that's going to be our main focus. So if you go a little bit off on your flowers, no big deal. If a little of those shapes come out different, not a problem. If your stripes on your vase don't come out perfectly straight, no problem. The thing is, let's get lots of fresh, moist paint straight out of our palette here onto this paper, and you're going to see how beautiful that looks. So let's keep working here, again, with that idea. So that's the alizarin crimson we used. This is a little bit of that is rose madder. This one, this color here is rose madder. It's more transparent than the alizarin crimson, a little lighter. All right, now we're gonna have. You'll see how much fun we're gonna have with these high intensity colors. Let's go right into the greens. Take lots on your brush and just get it in there. We have some green leaves and vegetation within this. Let's change the greens, olive green. So let's get some greens on the palette here. Sap green, olive green. Let's mix in some viridian green. A couple pointy shapes would be fine. And we'll also remember to keep a couple light tonal values in here. We don't want to go completely all thick out of the two paint. We want to get some lights in here. You can take a tissue and blot a little color. And then you can a little bit of light on the top of the flower here. Okay, now we're going to do maybe some, let's do a yellow. cadmium yellow. Let's leave space between that green because that green's still drying. So a little bit of yellow ochre. Again, straight out of the tube. If you see some of that paint leaking in there, that's okay. That won't be a problem. Leave a little bit of interesting watercolor things going on. Sometimes if you find a little bit of leaking going on with the paint into the other areas, no big deal. Leave some white paper too. That's always good. I should have maybe left a little white paper in the top flower here, but we'll keep going here. Watercolor is a lot of experimentation most times. Try different things. A little bit of cadmium orange. That looks pretty good. A little more cadmium yellow. All right, see, we've got lots of high intensity color here. I charge in some more straight cadmium red right out of the palette. Maybe some more alizarin crimson straight out of the tube. I have really good paper here. This is Arches rough paper. This gives you a ton of time to work with, so you can paint as you go with Arches paper, and you have tons of time to charge in paint while you're painting, and it really is a great paper. And also Fabriano paper is the same. It has a lot of working time. You have lots of time to work with that paper. Okay, let's do, this is a little lighter. Rose Madder is the color. Straight out of the tube here. Okay, a little bit of splashing. A little bit of alizarin crimson right there. Rose Madder again. Okay, let's work with our greens now. We'll get some greens in here. Let's add to our greens a little bit of French ultramarine blue, just for some of the darker shadow greens. We leave some white paper in there. Again, high intensity colors. I'm using sap green with a little bit of French ultramarine blue here. If it looks too dark, no problem, you can lighten it up a little. That was a little bit of Iridian green. Okay, and then this is some more straight out of the tube. Straight out of the tube, olive green. Remember to splash a little bit here and there. All right, so now we can see those beautiful high intensity colors. See how those are really popping on the paper here. It really is just so exciting just to look at the colors from an artistic point of view. Okay, now we've done a lot with our colors here on the flowers. and we'll just use repeating colors in this the vase underneath. The only thing I think I might change is I think I'm going to make the vase a little bit bigger. So I'm just going to, you can feel free to, sometimes you can change things a little bit if you feel as you're going in a painting, if you can add a little bit of pencil marks, or you can make things larger or smaller, you know, as you go, if you think it might look a little better. So I think it'll look a little better with a larger vase here. So I'm going to go with that idea here, and okay, let's have fun. Let's do French ultramarine blue with some of the green. We'll mix in some mineral violet purple color. Now before I do the vase, let me just add a little purple into some of the other areas here. Okay, that'll look good. All right, now let's do this here. And we'll make our top of the vase that purple. Okay, looks fantastic. And then we have another leaf here, another leaf form. Okay, now under that purple, let's go with some. Here what we want to do is let's leave a little bit of white paper in between the purple stripe and this yellow stripe here, so that the colors don't mix and mingle too much. This is probably a point in time in the painting when you start to dry a little bit the paint, either with a blow dryer or you take a break. Probably better to take a break for 10-15 minutes and then come back. Let me use the blow dryer. Alright, now that helps us quite a bit if we dry that a little. Okay, then we'll go into some straight cadmium red right into the paint supply. And let's go in and we'll do a nice red stripe here. And then as we work this, as we work the red stripe here, let's a little bit of orange in there. Let's go with some olive green and some of our green and yellow mix there. Maybe let's do a larger stripe here. Now here we'll do a parallel stroke, and we'll fan out the brush a little bit, make it wider. There we go. And we can add in a little bit of radiant green just to make it look more interesting. Okay, and that's, and again, I always try to, light will be coming from this side of the painting. do a little different, let's, a little bit of blue, French ultramarine blue. I'll leave some white paper. Then I'll go in and do some straight cadmium orange. Okay, now what I'm doing here is I'm trying to get the effect of maybe light on this side of the vase and flowers, and then over here a little more shadowing. But again, high intensity colors. I'll put some cerulean blue there, sap green. Let's charge in some sap green here, straight out of the tube. Okay. Let's make a nice cadmium yellow. Okay, more in high intensity colors. We're repeating all our colors from up top here in the flowers down into this. We could go with a darker French ultramarine blue with some sap green. Let's see, let's do the bottom of the vase with a nice darker color, sort of anchor it down onto the paper, and we'll do a shadow as well. Okay, here we can get a little more light on this side, dab up a little paint with the tissue. A splash or two, and then we'll go in with some mineral violet. Some shadowing. We could put some warm in the shadows. Okay, and then we had maybe another cadmium red for this. Again, those beautiful high intensity colors. Look at that. It's a feast of colors. It really looks incredible. Like, it doesn't matter if the drawing isn't good, or, as long as the shapes are somewhat, in the realm of halfway decent. This is really, looks great. Tons of colors, really vibrant colors, watercolor, so watercolor is beautiful that way. Okay, and then we leave some white of the paper along here. We're pretending the light's coming from this direction, from the right, so there's going to be some bright spots of white paper here and there. I'll put a little bit of cerulean blue in a couple spots here and there. Okay, I'm going to go with a little larger brush now. And we'll try to just put a little bit of backdrop behind the table. So I'm using some cerulean blue straight out of the tube. And then some more cerulean blue with just a little bit of water, just to give some color to the white paper, just to have a little bit of color. Here again too, maybe just a little bit of color, a little bit of warmer, maybe. Okay, we are back again. We have we have to minimize our our recording here, so I have sometimes a start and stop in my videos, but we just kept working on this. Again, the main theme here, of course, is high intensity color. We're using straight out of the tube colors, right out of our palette, and we're putting it right onto the paper. And we just did some real simple shapes of some flowers, 3 roses here, and some leaf forms underneath in the vase. And then we have a really exciting vase with lots of color, with stripes of color, simple strokes just going left to right. When we recall that we had the light coming from the right, like this. So we left some white paper on our flowers and in our vase here too on the side. And we just remembered to make a table so that the vase feels like it's sitting on the table versus floating in space. So having a backdrop is really important for this. So we're going to keep going here. We just have a few more details to finish up, and I'm going to dry this a little more with the blow dryer, just to blow dry the backdrop of this painting so that we can do some of the finer twigs and leaf forms in the vase here. Okay, so we're really just going to do the finishing touches now. The final part of the painting is just doing some of the finer details, and I think right away here I can see that. I think a little more color on this side over here is going to look good. So I just add some straight out of the tube color here, and then I just try to blend in a little bit. I blend that in. I just dry off my brush a little bit with a paper towel and just try to blend that in a little bit. Splash a little bit of water on there, maybe a little. All right, looking great. Now let's get a few French ultramarine blue, some cadmium red, maybe some green, sap green, and we'll just do a couple. Again, whenever I'm doing like the final details and very loose type paintings like this, like flowers, I'll hold the brush really high up top here, like about halfway on the brush, and then just sort of hold it almost like straight like this, and then just try to do a little quick. I think that's all that really we have to do, just to get a little ideas of the I think that's perfect. That's all we need, is just a little bit of those stems, and then we'll do a little splashing. Maybe we'll take some cerulean blue and just do a couple quick little splashes where those twigs are. Maybe a little olive green mixed with that too. See if we could. And then maybe more of an intense color. Let's go with the cadmium lemon yellow and cadmium yellow for some splashes on those stems. And I think that looks better with some of that intense color on those stems to sort of, tie it back into the rest of the composition. I think that blue just looked a little bit, maybe a little red too, or maybe some orange. It just kind of ties it all together, and that should be good. All right, I hope everyone had fun. Again, lots of colors straight out of the tube. We're working right from our palette most of the time here on this painting. Not much water in our palette at all. As you can see, I used very little water, just enough to get the paint onto the paper, and this is the result we have here. And I hope you try this many times, do different color variations. You can really get into this and have fun with planning out different color compositions within this. You can go with different color flowers. I use the reds and yellows here for the roses. You can use different flowers, maybe different flower shapes. Same thing with the stripes on this. You can change the colors of the stripes on your a vase if you want. You can make them just maybe 1 or 2 colors, or there's all kinds of variations you can work with on this. But again, the main point is using lots of straight paint right out of the palette. That soft moist paint, that's the key. And as we showed in the beginning of the video, we have to use that goopy moist paint like this to get this look here. If we try to use dry paint out of the palette like this, it's just not gonna, we won't be able to get that nice color we're looking for, that vibrant and high intensity colors. Okay, all right everyone, thanks again. We'll see you on the next video. Bye-bye.